Well, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett continues to blast Republicans, challenging them for the political double standards shaping national policy and calling out the selective outrage from Republican leadership. Check this out.
A report describing the impact of prohibiting a person whose sex is male from participating in an amateur meaning not necessarily little kids on the playground. Okay, want to be clear. Amateur athletic competition that is designated for females, women, or girls, or the participation of females, women, or girls in that amateur athletic competition. So are we talking about a report? So I still listen now. Maybe it's because the clerk didn't read the whole thing, and that's not her fault. She was told that was fine. I don't understand why and where my colleagues are going on everything else, and now they want to be the protectors of girls and women. I didn't hear them screaming this when Renee Good was killed in the middle of the street in Minneapolis. I didn't hear any protection for Renee Good, a U.S. citizen that was killed by the same people that the vast majority of you just voted to give more money to. I didn't hear the same thing. In fact, it was a lot of crickets, specifically including the women, as we were just lectured about what we need to do as women when it came down to the Epstein files. I heard crickets. In fact, we could not get any signatures onto that discharge petition to the extent that we shut down the entire House, and there was no business that was conducted in this entire country on behalf of our constituents. But let me be clear, the Republicans are going to protect girls and women, because that's what this is all about. It's not about the report, because the amendment says it's about a report. Like, miss me on being protectors. Just say that this is what you believe, this is what you're doing. But don't come at us and tell us as women what we should be okay with, what we shouldn't be okay with, because it's just kind of like the same thing where I should be telling a lot of women on the other side of the aisle, I don't know how it is that you are not protecting women as they need protections over their own bodies to make their own decisions.
The gentleman yield for a question?
I will yield for a question.
Well, thank you, Ms. Crockett, for those trenchant remarks. You know, our friend and colleague from New Jersey started by saying, what do most Americans think of as wrong? So he wants to ground people's approach to this bill on moral intuition. Well, what do you think the moral intuition of Americans is today about shooting Americans in the face for exercising their First Amendment rights, or stripping them of their lawful gun and then shooting them 10 times? You think the vast majority of Americans reject that?
Oh, I know they do.
You think that's why Donald Trump says he's going to de-escalate and they're trying to get out of Minneapolis because the whole country rejects the bloody, violent authoritarianism on display there?
Oh, absolutely.
Against women and girls and men and boys?
Yeah, and I can also remind my colleagues that feel so deeply about the children, the same children that they don't want to have $6 a day to eat and SNAP benefits, but I know that they care so deeply about children, because as myself and Joaquin Castro traveled to the Dilley facility in Texas, where they had kidnapped a 5-year-old out of Minneapolis and took him, I don't remember any of my Republican colleagues going to check on the people and the children, maybe don't talk about their parents, but the children that are currently incarcerated. You know, after we left Dilley, I made it clear that as someone who has practiced criminal defense, I have been in actual prisons, I have been in jails. This was the first time that I've been in a facility that doesn't even offer educational opportunities. So you're snatching kids away from their schools sometimes. I do have a bill if y'all care about schools and care about the hospitals and care about the churches. I have a bill for that if y'all want to, you know, sign up. But nevertheless, these children are being kidnapped, and then they are being thrown into a place that now has a measles outbreak. They are not being given adequate care whatsoever, and the children don't even have access to education. In this country, even somebody who is a convicted felon can go and get a degree. And these kids, their education has been stunted because this administration, with the complicity of each of you on that side who refuse to acknowledge what is wrong, because I agree, some things shouldn't be right or left, they should be right or wrong. So if we want to talk about the amendment, because I think you don't want a report, because the reports will reveal what most of y'all don't want to actually admit, which is that when it comes down to trans people in sports on the collegiate level, we have 10 in this country. Y'all want to sit up here and write bills as it relates to literally 10 collegiate athletes. That's all we have that are trans. Yet we have hundreds of people, thousands of people that are being incarcerated every single day, and we are subjecting our communities to abuse and being terrorized. But no. Let's focus on the 10 trans kids.
Well, now, that was a little fiery. Let's talk about the United States Senate race. Jolanna's alma mater, University of Houston, dropped a new poll today that shows that Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett leading Texas State Representative James Tallarico 47-39. Go to my iPad. If you look at the overall numbers here, Crockett 47, Tallarico 39, unsure 12. Among women, Crockett is leading Tallarico by 11 with 11 points, with unsure 15. Among men, Crockett is up Tallarico by 6. Among white voters, Tallarico is leading Crockett by 17 points, 53-34. Among Latinos, Crockett is up by 9. Among African-American voters, 71-13. Broken down by generation, silent boomer, Crockett is up 2, 44-42 with 13% unsure. Gen X, she's up 3 with 18% unsure. Millennials, she's up 16 with 7% unsure. Among those with a high school education, Crockett is leading Tallarico by 25 points. 2 years some college, she's leading him by 26 points. At 4-year advanced degree, Tallarico is leading Crockett by 11 points. Broken down by partisanship, among Democrats, 47-39. Among Independent and Republican, 48-31. Of course, the early voting is starting in another week. There in Texas, February 17th, if I'm correct. The primary is March 3rd. This has been quite interesting, Jolanda. It's been because there's been so much conversation back and forth among a lot of white progressives who have been, in their feelings about this race. In fact, I responded to somebody like this was interesting here, and this is somebody who is from Kentucky. And they've got Kamala Harris in their little Twitter bio. It says the Democratic establishment cannot allow Crockett to ruin our chances of winning a Senate majority. The data is clear. Tallarico is the better candidate and our best shot at winning. Big names need to start endorsing. And I just respond to the person by saying, how is the data clear? And what data are you seeing in Kentucky? See, that's what is so interesting here, Jolanda, is, and I've talked about this before, you got all these white progressives who are not even in the state, who don't even vote, who know nothing about Texas, weighing in. And here's the other thing. Senator Chuck Schumer, they're not counting on Texas to win in the Senate majority. Republicans have a 53-47 lead. Democrats are looking at holding Georgia, holding Michigan, winning North Carolina, upsetting Susan Collins in Maine, Sherrod Brown winning in Ohio, and then an upset in Iowa or winning the seat in Alaska. That's the pathway they see to a 51 majority, not Texas.
The problem with white Democrats, Roland, quite frankly, is they don't try to get black people out to vote. They take us for granted and they ignore us. That's how it is here in Texas. It's sad, even though black people are the most reliable voters for Democrats.
And the largest group of eligible black voters in America there in Texas.
Right, absolutely. And so I hadn't found any pollsters really here that know how to poll black people anyway, because somebody called us, somebody texting us, asking us questions. We ain't about to tell y'all what we gonna do. That's just not about to happen, right? They're always wrong. They always under-calculate what we're going to do. Same when they said President Obama wasn't going to win a second term. And so that is the epic failure of the National Party. And then they wonder why because the National Democratic Party has ignored Texas and has ignored black people, then it would make sense that Trump would target Texas to redistrict and set the standard for around the country and target black voters. So the only people who don't realize how important black people are to the Democratic Party, especially in taking Texas, is white Democrats nationally and in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So Thelma, here's the thing, and which is also part of this deal. The way the white Democratic strategists get paid is they'll tell a candidate to dump as much money into TV. I saw this story earlier where folks were questioning Congresswoman Crockett's campaign, talking about how Tallarico's outspending her on television. Texas is a huge state. Well, here's the whole deal. The consultants get paid by the TV and radio buys. That's how they make their millions. What they hate to do is to put the money on the ground. They hate to put the money in GOTV because they don't get paid that way.
And listen, the one thing that James allowed, he allowed them to get him off of his position of where he knew he was going to run, then get him to flip. I don't know what they offered him on the background, but they played in his fucking face. They played in his face because they wanted him to believe that he was going to come over into this particular race and run it. That's not what's happening, because that's not what the people want. The people see the lack of authenticity, and when they see that you are going so heavy in these rotations of these ads and the moves that you are making that are misguided, they see right through you. And to know that this particular consultant that he allowed to trick him out of his spot, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it, because you knew what the plot was. You knew what the plan. And whatever price they put on you and you allowed your integrity to be bought, you're going to deserve everything that comes from this, regardless of whatever poll that you may or may not believe, whatever, how much you are spending. Like, for the life of me, these Democrats, especially this particular one, why would you let these people talk you out of your position?
The thing that trips me out, the thing that trips me out here, which is hilarious, Omekongo, is, and I went back and pulled it. Since Lloyd Bentsen won in 1988, there's never been a primary that was uncontested. And this is what I've always said. I've always said this here, that because initially Tallarico jumped into the race. Former Congressman Collar Allred jumped into the Senate race. When Crockett announced, Allred dropped out, and then he ran for for a congressional seat. And so these folks were just up in arms. And I was sitting there going, why y'all mad? I'm like, if y'all believe that Tallarico is the best candidate, win the primary. If you believe that Crockett is the best candidate, beat Tallarico in the primary. That's the whole point about elections. Everybody has a right to run, and if you think you're the best candidate, you win. Like this person is sitting here, polls are not perfect but clear. Cornyn beats Crockett 48-43. Paxton beats Crockett 48-45. Meanwhile, Cornyn beats Tallarico 45. Okay, this is how stupid this person is. She tells me that Tallarico by the data is the best candidate. So this person hits me and says, Cornyn beats Crockett 48-43. That's 5 points. Paxton beats Crockett 48-45. That's 3 points. Meanwhile, Cornyn beats Tallarico 45-41. That's 4 points. Paxton beats Tallarico 45-43. So you're telling me that Tallarico can win, but according to what you posted, he's losing, just like Crockett is. And also, a poll in February is not the same as a poll in October. I'm confused.
It's crazy. It's crazy. What's frustrating about this is that people are treating this race like it was Obama running against Hillary. and people telling Obama it's not your time, wait your turn. They're like, well, what are you talking about? Jasmine Crockett, she's older, she has a larger national profile, and people acting like Tallarico's a chosen one. Why? Because he was on like Joe Rogan and he said you should run for president. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and they continually try to tell us to stay in our place. And Representative Crockett is not about that in any way, shape, or form. And for those who are chiming in from the national level who clearly don't understand Texas politics like you and Representative Jones do, people need to do more shutting up and more listening. And look, the Hillary Trump election of 2016, that should have been the last time that anybody listened to a poll seriously. I mean, the polls are, measures in time. You can take relevant information that can help you going forward with your campaign, but to look at them in such a way that this person should drop out, this person doesn't have a chance, that's absolutely ridiculous. And like you said, we're talking February, and this race is months away. And so, look, both of these individuals, we can talk about our issues with one or the other, or talk about how great they are. They are doing their thing. They are out there campaigning. Whoever wins, I'm sure they're going to endorse the other. And this is not like you said, there's always been a primary. So let the primaries happen. And I feel like people are trying to foment some type of, hip hop style beef to watch these guys tear each other down, because that's what people are used to seeing in politics. And both of them are at least, are smart enough to realize that that's not the moment that they need to be in right now. So I respect them both. And anybody who's saying that Crockett doesn't belong in this race, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
No, it's ridiculous to actually listen to these people. And it's just all the back and forth is just dumb to me, and I don't think it makes any sense. And so, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to win. Again, and a poll means nothing. Let me be perfectly clear. A poll absolutely means nothing. The only poll that matters is the one on Election Day.